Welcome back. Obviously, it's sad to see Portugal miss the World Cup so early on the tournament, especially being Ronaldo's last ever World Cup, and this being the best team Ronaldo probably had around him. But I can't sit here and say I'm surprised to see Portugal leave the World Cup so early, because this team has never really brought me confidence from day one. Obviously, from a year ago, when I saw Portugal play the World Cup qualifiers against Ireland, against Hungary, I don't know against anyone else, but those games, aren't whether they be wins or losses or draws, none of performances from that qualifying group stage never really brought me confidence from Portugal as a team. And watching the friendlies before the World Cup, I think it was against I don't know what it was against, but the friendlies we played against Nigeria, and then I don't remember the last one, against Costa Rica maybe, I don't know. But those friendlies that we saw Portugal play before the World Cup just kind of stick down my idea of Portugal as a team and my idea of Martinez as well as a manager, because a big part of why Portugal is doing bad or did bad in the World Cup, and a big part of my lack of confidence being there because of Martinez and how bad he is as a manager. It came into Portugal as a manager with reputation of ending the golden team for Belgium, with Lukaku, with De Bruyne, with Hazard, and missing out on them and failing them. And we always came through his team with Belgium with a feeling of disappointment, with a feeling of underperformance with him. And I don't know who felt it was a good decision to bring in a manager who had that failure linked to him at Belgium, and try to bring him in and get him the ends, get him the reins of another golden team, of another team. Because this team that Portugal has is definitely the best I ever seen in my lifetime. Portugal ever, and probably is the best my dad's lifetime has ever seen with Portugal. And we got that team and ended the ends of a manager who is famous for destroying gold generations. And that's what he did. He destroyed, at least for now, this golden team from Portugal. Obviously, the core of this team is still pretty young, and maybe we can have still 2 World Cups with the core of the squad still intact. And we can see wherever next comes from Portugal, takes this team and maybe win a trophy, either be Euros or the World Cup. I really felt like that trophy won at the National League against Spain kind of really either the performance of Portugal and made us think that we were able to win the World Cup, we were able to be contenders. I never really saw Portugal as a main contender. I always saw France and Spain as the top tier contenders for the World Cup, as the 2 best teams undoubtedly. I always thought Portugal were going to be in a tier below, alongside maybe England and Argentina. I feel like those 3 teams were the ones below Spain and France. But now I'm watching back, maybe Portugal is in a tier below those. Maybe alongside Brazil, because I'm not really fully confident in Brazil. Alongside Brazil, also Germany as well. 2 teams who also flipped out pretty early in the tournament. And again, this mostly comes from me not trusting Martinez. Also comes from me knowing that Ronaldo is also going to be a downside in this team. If you wanted to win games, Ronaldo had to be able to perform. I feel like our World Cup performance, I always spend a lot on Ronaldo, because our front 3, our attack, was never really something that was dangerous. I'll never be in the shoes of an opponent and be very afraid of our front 3, whether they be Rafael Leão Neto, whether they be Bernardo Silva, João Felix, or whatever the winners would be alongside Ronaldo. I'll never feel afraid of them, of playing against them. And Ronaldo this summer obviously had a great qualifying stage for the World Cup. I think it was like the top scorer in general. But we know, obviously we knew that the thing about him is, when these big tournaments come around, last World Cup, last Euros came around, he failed. He didn't score almost any goals. And I feel like for Portugal's own success, it depended a lot on Ronaldo being able to perform. Because if Ronaldo was able to perform, I know for sure that Leão, Neto, Felix, Bernardo Silva were able to perform as well, then our front 3 will be almost inefficient. And we'll be able to score goals. And I don't look at our defensive lineup, our offensive back lineup. I don't look at that center-back duo of Ruben Dias and Artur Veiga. I don't trust them to defend all 90 minutes and score and get out of games with clean sheets. I don't trust them. So for me, it was all come down to obviously making that attack play well and score goals. And guess what? They didn't. And Martinez reputation as a manager, for me, his opinion from him as a manager, not only comes down to what he does on the pitch, not only comes down to the choices he made on the squad, also comes down to small details of him as a manager. For example, in press conferences, he always talked about Portugal as a smaller country. In the game against, I think it was Congo, this draw is not good, but we took a lot of positives from this game, we should be proud of this team, we should feel very happy with this going through. I mean, kind of made it sound like a very weak mindset. Against Colombia, you're speaking about how Colombia is a great team, about Colombia had a great World Cup last campaign. They didn't, by the way. And about Colombia being a great World Cup team. Again, maybe they had a good World Cup in 2014, James Rodriguez, and they're probably the only and last campaign they ever had being good. And they spoke about Colombia as being a higher team than us. I mean, let's be honest, Portugal is by far the best team comparing to Colombia. I mean, in no way whatsoever should we look at Colombia and feel that we are worse as a team. And Martinez also kind of felt that he thought of us as a worse team than Colombia, as a worse team than Spain. Even against Spain, even after losing, even after playing so defensive against Spain, he came out and said, oh, I mean, we're unlucky to not go extra time. I mean, why the hell are we as Portugal wanting to go extra time against Spain? Why should we be feeling proud of a performance that shows no compassion, no courage at all, as a team? I mean, this team, at least for me, I never really saw a lot of belief, a lot of desire to win games for this team. It also comes down to what happened behind the scenes. I mean, also after the game against Cuango, was that 1-1 draw. A lot of things happened in Portugal. Maybe like the general fans know about it. But Ronaldo's sisters came on social media and talked bad about the players, about the team, and even like we saw the abuse that even João Neves was getting from a misquote in a press conference. So a lot of happened behind the scenes from the Portugal team, and I feel like I have to kind of put the blame on Ronaldo as the captain to not do anything with that. I feel like Ronaldo's older World Cup as a captain was very, very bad. It was also a big reason as to why we failed at the World Cup, because Ronaldo as a captain couldn't do his job. I mean, he had his own sisters talk bad about the players. I mean, I'm sure that he as a brother can talk to his family and say that that's enough. They shouldn't post their opinions on social media. They shouldn't go out there and flame his own teammates for playing bad or for not having Ronaldo's back. I mean, I saw Katia, which was his sister, conspired make a theory that Portugal was playing bad as a team to put Ronaldo in the right situation. He said that the Portuguese players were playing bad on purpose because of Ronaldo. I mean, that is just outrageous to even think about that as a possibility. And the only time Ronaldo ever talked to press conferences, ever talked to interviews, was after the game against Uzbekistan, where he scored 2 goals, where he won the game. After all the games against Congo, against Colombia, against who played last in round of 32, against Croatia, and against Spain, he never spoke on any of those games after them. He only spoke after the game in which he scored 2 goals, and which he played well. And it's a team that was considerably way worse than us. And for me, I think this is a big reason as to why I'm not really a big fan of Ronaldo. I don't feel that much empathy towards Ronaldo. Maybe the normal Portuguese fan would, because I feel like all his actions in the World Cup, as a captain especially, made me feel kind of bad towards him as a captain, and it was a big reason as to why we're now missing out in the quarterfinals due to Spain. And again, Martinez as a head coach, and this is kind of the point of the video, talk about Martinez. I like Martinez. I feel like this is something, I never really feel confident in Martinez for the World Cup, but talking about as a manager, talking about with a friend before the World Cup, I was saying like, I don't trust Martinez. I don't think he's a good manager. I don't think he's the guy to go out there and get us to a World Cup final, get us that trophy. And my friend didn't really understood why I don't like Martinez, but I feel like this World Cup has shown as to why I don't like Martinez. When it comes to the squad he called up, there were some backing decisions there that I still don't understand to this day. First, on the back line, he called up 1 left back, Nuno Mendes, and he called 4 right backs, Nuno Semedo, Dalot, João Cancelo, and Matheus Nunes. And then at the point where Nuno Mendes was so tired playing every single game, every single minute, he got against Spain, and guess who's the guy that was brought off the bench to replace Nuno Mendes? Nuno Semedo to play left back. I've never in my entire life seen Semedo play left back. I don't know if any Wolves fan have seen Semedo play left back before in their life, but I've never seen Semedo play left back in my entire life. There were some very good left backs to be called up, but no, decided to bring in 4 right backs, and one of those was the best right back in the Prem, one of the best right backs in the Prem, Matheus Nunes, and he didn't play at all, Matheus Nunes. They got a lot. A guy was heavily criticized by Man United, and Semedo, someone who's playing at Turkey, played way more minutes than Matheus Nunes, someone who's been playing an amazing year at City, an amazing year in the Prem, the best league in the world, and for some reason, it doesn't have what it takes to play for Portugal in the World Cup. With midfield, for example, we saw Matheus Fernandes get moved for 100 million euros, yet somehow is not at the World Cup. Also makes sense. Unless a guy who's worth 100 million euros plus not get called up to the World Cup, where the backups for Portugal aren't that great. How can I sit here and explain that a midfielder was worth 100 million euros was not called up in favor of Ruben Neves, someone who's playing in Saudi Arabia for over 3 years now, over someone who's playing at Mallorca, Simon Costa, got relegated from Spain with Mallorca. I mean, over Bernardo Silva, who's been someone who's kind of had years counted at Manchester City. I don't know how to explain that. I don't know. And also Mateus is the perfect backup you can have to Vitinha and João Neves. They have different, similar profiles, similar archetypes of a player. Ruben Neves is not. Sam Costa it doesn't. Also, why not bring in Trampolina, someone who has tons of experience with his squad, with his group, of playing in these big tournaments like the World Cup and the Euros? Why not bring him in? Is someone you know can perform at this stage, even if his on-ball ability is really bad. What he brings off the ball for you is amazing, and I don't know why it wasn't being brought in. So the squad always already the first sign of things going wrong. Then throughout this whole tournament, I saw a team afraid to score goals, afraid to win. Always kind of play the safe. We had the best midfield in the whole tournaments. I thought that's kind of obvious. João Neves, Vitinha, Fernandes, one of the best players in the whole planet. The best midfield we could ever field for this Portugal national team. And I saw these games and we saw a team play like we had Palhinha, Ruben Neves, I don't know, but we played like we had a bad midfielder. We played like we had no intent of going forwards. Even against Spain, when we had the ball, our whole thinking process was just trying to keep the ball, not make too many mistakes. I mean, Bruno Fernandes is a player who relies on risk taking. Let's having the ball on his feet, trying to cross it in, trying to play make, and trying to take those risks in order for the team. A lot of times those passes won't go to the player. A lot of those passes will go to the opponents. But when that pass hits, almost a goal. It's almost a certain goal. And for this team, I thought Martinez really won't take any risks with this Portugal team. And that's wrong. I mean, let this team be aggressive. Let this team play its best football. And I mean, after the press conference, you can kind of compare Martinez's statements to Bruno's statements. Bruno said, like, we have to be more ourselves. We have to be more of a team who wants to win games, wants to be more aggressive, who has the ability to go out there and win games. Martinez said after the press conference that we should feel proud of ourselves as a team. Should feel proud of the players. I'm sorry, but I don't feel any proud of the players or as you, because you went against Spain and you played afraid, you played defensive the whole game. When you had the ball, you just pass the ball around the back line and that was it. And that's been the case for the entire tournament. Against Congo, we felt afraid. Against Colombia, we felt afraid. Against Croatia, we felt afraid. Against Croatia, our strategy was to pass the ball within us in the back line, and then get it along to our wingers and see what they could do. And that was those strategy the whole game, and it almost resulted in us missing the tournament. And that old player style is a big reason as to why I don't like this Portugal team, as why I never felt confident on this Portugal team winning, because we never really played like a team that was supposed to win the World Cup. We never played like a team who was supposed to be contenders. I mean, never. As obviously got me really angry, because I know that this team has so much potential, so much quality in his feet, in our hands. And we brought in a manager who turned this team into a team who was supposed to be an underdog. Always played like an underdog. You know, all Paraguay played against Germany and played against France. You know, all these teams like Cape Verde, for example. Cape Verde had a better game against Argentina than we had against Spain and against Croatia. And then Cape Verde is an island that was supposed to be in our commands. And was supposed to be, obviously, lots of players was born in Portugal and played in Portugal. And they had a better game than us against Argentina. I mean, if I was to see Portugal play against Argentina, I mean, after Cape Verde would have the best game against Argentina that we would have against them, because of Martinez being afraid as head coach and being bad as head coach and not seeing the ability of his own team. And that is for me the most shocking part of it all. It also comes down to his decision making on the games. Why the hell right? The striker who scored the goal against Croatia to get us through round 16. The man that saved us from getting knocked out against Croatia early on the tournament, even early on than yesterday. Why did that man who scored a goal for Ramos not get brought down against Spain? Why does Ronaldo, a 41-year-old man, play almost every single minute of every single game? World Cup is a very physically demanding tournament. It's a tournament that requires you to be on top fitness level because you're gonna play a lot of games, especially in the heat in conditions that obviously you have those breaks and hydration supposedly because you can be very hot. Then tell me, why does a 41-year-old striker get to play every single game, every single minute? I don't know. I don't know. I can see a reason as to why that happens. I can see a reason as why Ramos wasn't brought in. This guy saved us last game against Croatia, and now we see him sitting on the bench for the entire game. Trust me, I even said that after the game against Croatia, I always felt like if there was a need for a goal, sub him in. Because he was going to come in and score a goal. He has some great movement as a striker, even though obviously as a striker, as a player, I might not have the biggest opinion on him, but there's one thing I like about him. As a super sub, he can be relied upon. He's amazing as a super sub. And Martinez knew that. Martinez saw him perform well for Portugal against Croatia, save our asses against Croatia. Then against Spain, reward them with 0 minutes played. I mean, if I saw Ramos, I'll seriously consider retiring from national team at this point, because what Martinez did to him was a huge act of mistreatment. It made Ramos feel like even inferior player than what he is. This someone who's also just moved for what, 60 million, 70 million to Milan, is a player who deserves respect, who saved Portugal. I mean, Ronaldo only scored a penalty against Croatia. That's the only goal he scored in the World Cup, apart from those two he scored against Pakistan. He didn't score against Congo, he didn't score against Colombia, he didn't score against Spain. So Ramos came on against Croatia and saved our asses. He was the main reason as to why we're not talking about Portugal playing against Spain. Because I don't know if he didn't score that goal, if we'll be here talking about Spain-Portugal, or rather than Spain-Croatia. I don't know. I never really liked Martinez. I felt that this game for me was a breaking point. Thank God is now gone from Portugal. I know it's going to be brought in to replace him. Obviously a good manager, but I never for once felt confident in Martinez being a good manager. And I hope for God that no one else, at least in terms of countries, never ever gives him a job as a manager again. Because what they did with Belgium is a perfect example of what they did with Portugal. And that's like, destroying two golden teams should feel like a crime. We should all see Martinez now as an enemy of football.